Frequency locking made me a millionaire before the age of 18, and it helped me make over $20 million in revenue for my clients. Now, the one thing that I need you to understand is that this is not going to work if your whole entire goal is to have enough money to have an SVJ and a penthouse in Miami, whatever. This is not going to work for people who are just trying to be copy-paste clones of the online money kids. This is going to work only for the people who are trying to build something generational, something that lasts for decades instead of just a few years, short years that everybody in the online space does. If you're interested about more information about what the difference actually is, check out the first link in the description down below. It is very boring, but it is going to be the most important read that you'll ever read in your whole entire life. Now, with that being said, let's get into it. Essentially, there's two parts to frequency locking. The first part is the actual goal itself that you are trying to achieve. And then the second part is the actual actions that you take. Now, the first thing that you need to understand, which is in terms of the goal is so much more important than the actual action itself. You need to understand something about the goal. The reason why you want to make a certain amount of money or live a certain kind of lifestyle, let's just say it's to make $1 million a month, $2 million a month, $3 million a month, whatever that number actually is, it is never actually for that goal itself. It is never, I want to drive this specific car. You're not actually doing it for the car. It is only for you to actually feel the emotion. It's never about the goal itself. It's never about the $1 million. It's always about what the $1 million actually means to you. Because chances are that $1 million is going to make you feel something. It might help you feel security. It might help you feel that you're accomplished and you actually mean something. And that emotion, that feeling that you're trying to get after reaching this goal, it is very nuanced and it depends on person to person. And it usually depends on your kind of upbringing as a person. So if you grew up and you saw that your parents were disagreeing a lot about money, or there were a lot of arguments, or let's just say you personally, you were in debt, or you were broke at one point in your life, and that caused a lot of stress, a lot of traumatic things to happen to you, then you almost feel this stress of like, you need to feel like you're doing everything possible to go ahead and be safe. Now, the issue of wanting a goal like that is not understanding why you actually want this thing. You think you genuinely want to achieve $1 million a month or to live a specific lifestyle. In reality, as we just said, it is to feel that emotion. Now, when we look at how usually people like you go ahead and actually try and accomplish their goals, the first thing that they do is go ahead and write their goal down. So in this case, it's I'm trying to make $1 million a month. The first thing that usually comes to mind is, hey, let me go ahead and take certain actions to help me get to $1 million a month. Now, the issue is, this is what nobody thinks about. Where do these actions actually come from? Because how come that there are sometimes that you're taking the right actions and sometimes you're taking the wrong actions, even though in your mind before you took the wrong actions, they felt like the right actions? How come that is the case? Well, it's quite simple, because your actions come from your intuition. But again, that doesn't really answer the question. How come that there are sometimes that your intuition is absolutely on point? The things that you think that you should be doing in order to reach your goal, they're absolutely on point and they help you go forward towards your goal. How come that there are sometimes the right things and how come there are sometimes the wrong things? Well, you need to understand that there's something deeper than just your intuition. There's something that truly affects your intuition. And that thing is what I call your frequency. And before you get all woo on me, before you're like, Yusuf, what's this woo stuff? I'm not really interested in this manifestation stuff. I'm trying to make $1 million a month. I'm trying to make 10 million a month. I'm trying to make $1 billion a year. This is not going to really help me out. I want to just tell you, sit your ass down, because this is truly what the billionaires and the elites of the world, that's what they teach their kids in order to be able to carry that gift of just alchemizing everything. What true alchemy is turning anything into gold. This is what the ability that you need to have in order to reach these very crazy goals, these unrealistic goals that don't seem realistic for the people in online money space. Let me ask you a question. Do you think it's realistic to make $1 billion a month? Most people will answer no, it's impossible, it's never gonna happen, whatever. What I'm telling you right now is, with this information, this kind of stuff actually can happen. So in order for you to understand what frequency actually is, I want you to think of your mind as a radio station. And so exactly just like radio stations, you can tune into different channels. You can listen to different things. Now, the issue with us here is that depending on the radio station that we're tuned into, it kind of changes the types of actions that we're taking. And so therefore, when we're changing the actions that we're taking, we're also changing the results that we're taking. So instead of us taking actions that will take us towards the $1 million a month goal, it might take us to the 100K a month range. Now, again, some people might be watching this and be like, Yusuf, that's not bad. I'm okay with 100K. Guess what? You're thinking too small, way too small, my friend. You can be easily making $1 million, 10 million, 100 million a month if you're really putting your face and your mind to it. These numbers seem unrealistic because guess what? Nobody in the online money space is thinking about longevity. No one's thinking at that big of a scale. And if they are, they're going to keep it quiet. They're going to keep it to themselves because everyone is gatekeeping. No one really wants to share this kind of information. And the reason why I'm sharing it, well, guess what? Me sharing this information, I'm profiting off of it. I'm profiting off you watching these videos, and I'm profiting off of you going ahead and joining this. And guess what? I'm only looking for 100 people to share this with. As soon as I'm done sharing with 100 people, guess what? I'm never going to speak about this information again. I'm going to keep it to myself. I'm going to keep it to the 100 people because ultimately there's only a few people in this world who are meant to go out there and make and create legacies. If you're not one of those 100 people of this generation, respectfully, this kind of content isn't for you. You're going to watch this content. You're going to go ahead and continue doom scrolling. You're going to continue doing all this stuff. Respectfully, we don't need you here. We don't want you here. There's going to be people out here who are going to listen to this message. And they're going to do something with it, and they're going to create a legacy. Now, listen, back to the point. That was a side tangent, but back to the point. Essentially, we need to understand that the different radio waves will lead us to taking different actions. So we can have a red channel, and that's going to lead us to getting 100K months. We can have a yellow channel, which could lead us to then going ahead and making only 10K per month. And so depending on the color of the channel, we can have a green channel, and that green channel is going to lead us to making 10 million a month. And so depending on the color of this channel, we're able to go ahead and take the right actions based on the color of the actions, because our intuition is going to go ahead and change, which will then change our actions, which will then go ahead and change our current state. So our goal essentially to frequency lock is to essentially change our frequency, change the channel that our brain is tuned into to the right color. Now, the biggest question, the easiest question that's on everybody's mind right now, Yusuf, how do we go ahead and actually change the channels? Well, you need to first understand the very big issue that we have on our hands here. In our mind and to our brains, all of these channels, they all seem the same. They all sound the same. Because in our mind, as I said, no one's out here taking actions randomly, thinking, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take the actions of that 10K version, a 10K a month version of me. No one's out here doing that. Everybody thinks that, I'm operating from the 10 million, 100 million a month version of me. No one's actually thinking that they're taking the wrong actions. So how do we exactly figure out which action we are a part of? Which action and which frequency, which wave are we actually operating from? It's actually very simple. You need to understand what makes up this frequency, what makes up this wave. And it's 4 things that I came up with, and it's an acronym that you're going to remember for the rest of your life. Every single time that something wrong is going on in your business, you're going to remember this acronym. And the acronym is basically your vibe. Your vibe stands for something. It's not just like, oh bro, your vibe, you're mellow, you're chill. No. It actually stands for something. The first thing is your vision. So what do you actually focus on? What is it that you see? You see, oftentimes, depending on this wave, this frequency, right? You need to understand that these frequencies come from a version of you. They don't just come out of nowhere. They come from a version of you who wants to keep you stuck at these specific moments. So let's just say, right, let's just color these guys in just to make it very easy for you guys to kind of understand. You have the 10 million a month version of you. So this is the guy that's making 10 million a month. You have your 100K a month version of you. So this is the version of you who's making 100K a month. And then you have the version of you who's only making $1 million a month. Now, again, extrapolate this to what kind of numbers you're making. If you're currently making 50K a month and you're trying to get to 100K a month, then go ahead and create your own versions of this. It doesn't have to be the same exact things. I'm just talking about numbers that just apply to me in my current sample. Essentially, you need to understand that each one of these has their own frequency. It has its own vibe. So what's going to end up happening is, let's just say you are trying to go ahead and operate from the green guy. You're trying to operate and become that frequency, right? Which will then lead you to taking the right things, the intuition, having the right intuition to take the right actions, which will lead you to having those same results. Let's just say you're trying to operate like that. You know what's going to end up happening? Those 2 versions of you, they're going to go ahead and try and affect your vision. So something is going to happen to you. Obviously, things go wrong all the time in business. Now, whenever that happens, depending on how you view it and which one of these guys is in control, you're going to view it differently. So if, let's just say you lost $70,000, let's just say whatever reason, a guy scammed you, you lost $70,000. The version of you internally, the frequency of you who's at 100K a month, he's going to look at that and be like, damn, I just lost 70 grand in a single month. That is a lot of money. I don't know how I'm going to be able to recover this loss. And he's going to look at it from a very negative perspective. The version of you who's making $1 million a month could be like, okay, 70 grand isn't like not a lot of money. It's still a decent amount of money, but I still lost money. He's not going to feel as much. Now, the version of you who's making 10 million a month, just right, he's not even going to notice that he lost the 70 grand. He's not going to feel anything about it. Now, the biggest issue with any of these things affecting you is that last one, because it affects your emotions. So I'm going to go off order here. This is going to be the most random video that you'll ever watch, but it's going to be the most valuable video you'll ever watch. The fourth part of your vibe is your emotions. I'm going off order. I'm throwing you off. Guess what? Keep watching the video. You're going to keep watching anyways, because this is very valuable and there's nobody out here explaining this stuff to you. Anyway, so your emotions. I think for most males, we kind of hate to admit this, but we usually take actions via our emotions and we then justify using logic. Any marketer will tell you this. As much as we like to pretend we're very logical creatures, whatever. Yes, this logic is to go ahead and make us feel a certain emotion. The reason why you invest in your business is because you want to feel that emotion of feeling security, of getting you money, whatever. The reason why you buy a certain house is because you want to feel security for your family and you value that thing, you value that emotion. And so what ends up happening is that vibe, when you're tapped into and it's ruining your vision and you're going back to this old self, this red self of yours, and it's affecting your intuition, you're going to feel the emotions of lack. You're going to feel the emotions of scarcity. You're going to feel all these negative emotions. And so when you feel those emotions, you're going to feel compelled to take certain actions. You're going to have the intuition to take certain actions. And so those actions are going to probably lead you to then feeling more of these emotions, because each one of these guys aren't evil. I want you to understand this. These guys have nothing against you. Their number one goal is one thing in particular. It is to make you feel the emotions that make them up. And so the red guy, the emotions that make him up is scarcity, it's fear, it's lack, it's not having enough. It's I need to scale to more and more money. I need to be a big dog. I need to prove myself. I need to do all this stuff. The version of you who's making $1 million a month, maybe his whole thing is like, yo, I just want to relax. I want to do this. I want to do that. I am still not enough. I don't have systems. You might not feel fully confident in yourself. The version of you who's making $10 million a month, guess what? That version, the emotions that he feels right now is he's relaxed. He's secure. He has way more than enough. He's truly abundant. He doesn't feel like he needs to prove himself to anyone. And so usually you're stuck in this loop. You feel a certain way because one of these versions of you go ahead and affect your vision. And so therefore you take actions based on that intuition, based on that vision, based on seeing life through that lens, through that very limited perspective of yours as a human. And so therefore you go ahead and feel those emotions more and more and more. Now, moving on, the second part of your vibe is your identity. Now, most people have the total wrong identity. Every single one of these versions of you has their own identity. The 100K a month version of you might have an insanely high ego. You might be sitting here watching this video and might be thinking, Yusuf, I don't need any of this stuff. This is some woo-woo stuff, whatever. Guess what? That ego is what's stopping you from growing. Respectfully, this is what's going to be your demise. This is what's going to make you end up like all these other 100K a month, 200K a month entrepreneurs who failed over the last 3 to 5 years. Literally, if you look past, I've talked to so many people who are making 100 and 200, 300 grand a month who literally failed. I had a friend of mine who was making 160 grand every single month. He was making more money than me at one point. And this guy is right now working at a W-2 minimum wage job just so he can afford the bills. This guy dropped out of middle school and he got a car, he leased a car that he couldn't afford. He got an apartment that it was way over his budget. And now he has to literally work a minimum wage job just so he can survive. He moved back to his parents' place. This is literally what's going to happen. And so that identity of, oh, I have a high ego, I have nothing to figure out, it led him to take actions that will go ahead and lead to his demise. So you should understand what is the kind of identity that version of you, that the desired version of you actually has. And then lastly is your body state. So you need to understand that the feeling that you have, that everybody tells you is normal, that you as an entrepreneur should hustle really, really hard and you should have sleepless nights and you should have all this stress and it's stressful and it's lonely at the top and whatever. It's complete bullshit. It is really complete bullshit. The only reason why this kind of stuff is perpetuated is to keep you in this cycle of feeling a certain way, feeling certain negative emotions, and then keeping you to take these actions, because the actions that you will take when you're feeling this way, it makes all these gurus, it makes all these people online, it makes them profit. That is how they profit off of you. They make you feel like you're missing something in your life that is truly missing. And then the action that they compel you to take is to buy their stuff. This is marketing 101. 99% of you guys who are watching this, they're going to be marketing some sorts, or going to have some marketing information. You're going to understand exactly what it is that I'm saying. You're going to understand that the negative emotions that you feel and people telling you to feel a certain way, to have a certain body state, that you're always tensed up, that you barely sleep, that you do all this stuff. Again, this is the type of body state that the version of you who's struggling is currently at. it's not going to be the body state of someone making 10 million a month. Think about it. Someone who's making 10 million a month, he's relaxed. He's probably spending a lot of his time just feeling good, going to the gym, sitting in the sun, just doing stuff that actually makes him feel good. Now, what you need to understand is in order for you to become this version of yourself, that version of yourself exists right now. You need to embody these 4 things of this green self. That's it. It's as simple as that. Now, if this type of stuff is really interesting to you, I want you to go ahead and read the first link in the description down below, because it is the most in-depth guide on how to genuinely transform your life and how to go from being just another online money kid to being someone who builds generational wealth that your grandkids don't even know what an economy ticket looks like. They'll never know what it looks like. And the only concern that they'll ever have is where should we ski this winter, or what kind of charity we should donate this quarter. If that interests you, first link in the description down below, and I'll go ahead and see you later.